Here I'm using all kinds of color, from violet, green, yellow, orange, to make my flesh tones, and trying to keep the colors from being overblended so that we still see those separate colors a bit. It's kind of impressionistic. For this painting, I used part of an old abandoned painting of a racetrack scene with the jockey on the horse. As you can see, it was a horizontally oriented layout, and I just turned it on its side and put a thin coating of beige paint over it. And when it was thoroughly dry, I started scribbling in the beginnings of a flesh tone. I'm not doing any drawing yet, the aim being to cover the old painting with new paint as quickly as possible. Here I'm beginning to block in shapes, keeping it very loose, very sketchy, thinking of the broad masses of tonal values and trying to vary the color. You can see with the flesh tones, there's some blue, some pink, some green. Now I'm trying to balance those cool flesh tones with warmer ones. A little orange, burnt sienna, and starting to scrub in the violet color of the dress. Again, trying to cover that whole canvas. I'm beginning to slightly define the edges of the big masses and beginning to indicate some of the features, again very broadly, devil may care, and trying to balance out those cool darks in the background with some warm darks. So there's always a play of warm and cool. That's the thing to try to keep in mind throughout any painting that you do, is to try to have a play of temperature throughout the painting. It really adds richness to it. More drawing, trying to stay loose and big, not getting hung up on one little area and overdeveloping it and thereby taking all the life out of it. One thing I did notice about this stage was that the head had gotten too upright. I'd lost the slight tilt that it had. But for the time being, I let it go. Getting more paint on the hat and using bigger brushes, doing some work on the sleeve of the dress. More work on the face, shaping that left side, her right cheek, giving that a tilt so it complements the tilt of her left cheek, and repainting that eye, her right eye. That was how it looked after 1 hour. Here my student almost passed out in disbelief when he saw me completely paint over the face and have another go, trying to get that tilt of the head back in. And there were other things about the head I didn't like. It really needed to be redone. My student started to breathe again once he saw that the face was coming back actually better than it was before. And I also gently blended the separate brush strokes on the chest and the neck and a little bit on the arms. More work on the face, smoothing out some of those transitions, and working now more for a likeness. So thinking about proportions, and also more drawing on the far sleeve, bodice of the dress, and combining the hair again so that there aren't so many individual strokes happening. I wanted to keep it kind of impressionistic, but I didn't want it to be all over the place with strokes flying all over. I wanted an exciting but calm effect. Here I needed a break from the face, and I wanted to have some fun, so I went back to the dress and blocked in some bigger areas and simpler areas of lights and darks and middle darks. Back to the face. Some definite touches on the eyes, the nose, the mouth. Modeling on the light side of the face. Brushing a little bit more in the flesh tones, the chest, the shoulder, the arms. Being careful not to brush too much. I didn't want to lose that play of color in the flesh tones. This is the finished painting, where I've completed the background and the hat with the rose, put the highlights in the eyes, and just touches here and there, little wisps of hair on her neck, and just moving around, not getting hung up on one spot and overdeveloping it and getting too detailed. In this close-up, you can see how I've tried to keep the brushwork loose until the very end, and paying attention to hard and soft edges. Remember that it's good to keep in mind with this approach that you want to do as little as you can get away with. Use as few strokes as it takes to get what you want. Too many times we see work that is so overfinished and photographic that from 5 or 10 feet back it's almost unrecognizable. There's so much detail in it. You have to practically put your nose up against it to make it out. With this approach, it's the other way around. It kind of only makes sense from a distance, and when you get up close to it, in a way, it falls apart. Not totally, obviously, but you can see the economy of strokes that an artist uses with this approach, and that it still makes sense from a distance. If you enjoyed this video, then please click like and subscribe. And if you'd like to receive a free video on how to mix these slightly unorthodox flesh tones and have a lot of fun, click the link below. And happy painting.